Hello there and welcome to our show. My name is Lou Wieland and I publish the official relocation guide on Atlanta that is distributed by the First Multiple Listing Service of Atlanta. The magazine has been published for over 27 years and it is the magazines are on the FMLS website where 50,000 real estate agents go every day to get information to do their business, to sell real estate, to buy real estate. There are 50,000 registered on FMLS, and basically the FMLS is the fourth largest multiple listing service in the United States. And basically, we have 5 publications, one for the metro area, one for North Fulton in partnership with the North Fulton Chamber of Commerce, one for Cobb County in partnership with the Cobb Association of Realtors, one for Gwinnett County in partnership with the Gwinnett Chamber, one for Atlanta, and one for Inside 285. Real estate agents distribute these to home buyers and businesses moving here or expanding and just people wanting to know more about the city. We have been the go-to source of information on the city for like almost 30 years. So FMLS.com, realtors know it and use it, and AtlantaCommunityProfiles.com. We get over 1 million page views a year on our website, and we print 15,000 copies of the magazines that are given out to everybody moving here. And I am also a real estate agent with KW Commercial. I focus on commercial and residential as well, any kind of investment property. My website is louwieland.com. If you would like to buy, sell, or lease commercial or residential real estate, give me a holler. I'd love to work with you. The market is hot in Atlanta, just to give you a quick feel. Right now, houses, residential side, are, everybody's heard, I'm sure, is booming. We had one house come on the market the other day. We had 80 offers. We had another one, 40 offers. There's almost no inventory. I mean, the inventory is so small, it's driving prices up. So people are moving here from throughout the world, really, especially from places like California and New York, where real estate prices are really high. Actually, we had, I think the price of real estate, residential real estate in February was up about 16% over last February. So it's amazing what's going on here. And in terms of the commercial real estate market, we have the highest sublease market in the history, and largest number of subleased homes that we've ever had. And that's because of the COVID thing and people working from home, but we don't know how that's going to change. A lot of people feel like it's the social distancing is going to outweigh that, and it will balance out. So anyway, that's a feel for the market. It's very strong. Atlanta's a fantastic place to live. If you're listening to my show or watching my show from another country or another city, check us out. We are one of the fastest growing cities in America, and we have so many phenomenal attributes, including extremely well diversified population and diverse population. In fact, Gwinnett County has more different languages spoken than any other county in the world, or certainly in this country too. So anyway, every week we interview community leaders to give you a feel for the community, and we're basically interviewing a friend of mine. I've gotten to know Dean a little bit lately. Dean Fusto, welcome to the show, Dean. It's great to have you on the show today.
Lou, I've been looking forward to this and appreciate your friendship.
And I would like to extend my congratulations to you for a phenomenal job that you're doing there in light of pretty difficult times with the COVID and all. But Dean is a recipient of the Klingenstein Fellowship of Columbia University in New York. He's president of the Brandon Hall School, an international boarding and day school serving students in grades 6 through 12 in the Sandy Springs, Dunwoody area. He's author of 5 books. He's done training. He's gotten every award you can think of. He's achieved all kinds of every possible accolade you can think of in terms of education. He is noted especially for his passion for working with youth leaders. Basically, he's a phenomenal role model for students and other people in academia. And it's awesome to have you. Tell us a little bit about the Klinkenstein Fellowship at Columbia. What exactly is that, Dean?
Yeah, that is just a wonderful opportunity, really, for heads of school across the world. Once a year, there's a fellowship extended by Columbia University in New York to, I think it's about 20 heads are selected. And I was fortunate enough to be part of a last year's cohort right before COVID hit. And we come together for a little bit over a month, discuss all of the issues that currently are facing independent schools, the vast majority of which are nonprofits. A lot of people don't realize that about our industry. And just having that camaraderie and thought leadership, and it's just an amazing program. And hats off to Columbia University for doing that for heads.
He is a past recipient of the National Endowment of the Humanities Fellowship and an E.E. Ford Fellowship, among many other accolades. And he has an MA from Columbia, as well as a proactive leadership certification training from Cornell. So, Dean, it's awesome to have you on the program. And I think what we should do is just give people a feel for the school. Can you just, from a macro standpoint, Dean, in other words?
Absolutely. Well, Lou, you know this better than anyone. To really understand and experience Brandon Hall, you've got to get to this campus. We're 24 acres, wooded, literally on the Chattahoochee River, boarding and day program. So at any moment when you walk on this campus, you will be with kids from all over the world and all over Atlanta and the US. Pretty amazing. And this setting is also a wildlife preserve. So along with the students, you'll see deer. I'm looking out right now. There are deer running around our campus, beautiful birds. And it's an amazing, safe, secure, and inspirational place to work. And what makes us a little bit different, there are 25 teachers, including myself as head of school, who live literally on the campus. That's kind of a unique part about boarding. But as you said, we're grades 6 through 12. The campus dates back to 1959 when it was founded as a school. But actually, if you go by our property, there's a white sign from the Historical Society, a little white sign you'll see. It talks about the campus actually being part of Morris Brandon's summer estate, which I believe goes back to 1841. So at one point, this was 100 acres or 110 acres of property that became a school back in 1959 with just an amazing mission.
I know your programs include curriculum on robotics, math, art, music, engineering. Do you have a pretty full curriculum on just as any other much larger school would offer?
Yes, I think for a school, especially with ours, which is designed as a smaller school, the offerings here are plentiful. So in addition to some of the extracurriculars and club type activities you mentioned, we also have the obviously AP courses, but we are one of the few boarding schools, maybe nationwide, that allows students to get an international baccalaureate diploma as well. So we are considered an IB World School for grades 11 and 12. So there are lots of choices at Brandon Hall to take advantage of as a family or a student.
So, I went to a boarding school
Yeah,
in high school, so I can relate extremely well to this conversation and the school and everything that you're talking about. I lived it, and what do you think is the most distinguishing couple of aspects of the school versus other boarding schools? And what percent, by the way, of your students are live-in versus day students?
Great question. So this year, we are around 50-50. I think some of that is the impact of COVID and just a lot of students not being able to come from international destinations. But in general, we trend more around 60% boarding, 40% day. And then out of our total population, about 30 to 35% of our students are international students. So there's just that great mix at all times on this campus, where whether you're in the classroom or the athletic field, the science lab, the stage and theater, right? You are shoulder to shoulder with someone from either another part of the world, another part of the US, or maybe someone who's your neighbor here in Atlanta. Pretty remarkable. In terms of boarding, and you know this, Lou, and it's great to hear that you were also a boarding student. I think the real appeal and power of a boarding school education is you get the leg up as a student on learning those skills that you will need for college. There's that independence you learn here, whether it's something as simple as, taking care of your own space in your own room, chores, things like that, time management. You get those skills, and there's a lot of great research around boarding schools as well that deliver that value add.
Okay, Dean, here's the big question, because I experienced it too. One of the things I've learned in 50 years in business, and I hate to give away my age, but
You're 51, right, Lou?
well, that's right. I got a head start. But that in business, and there's so many books have been written about the fact that how well you get along with other people and work with other people is almost important than what you know, and because you can always learn. And my experience in a boarding school was that I learned to get along well with a lot of people, a lot of different personalities, because I went to a school with children of missionaries in many cases and other people from high ranks in business and everything. And I learned how to get along well with people from lots of different backgrounds. And how does that play out at your school with your students?
I think in exactly the same way you just described it. Again, and part of this is about our size as well, because we fit in that category of a smaller boarding school, which is typically 200 or below in terms of student population. And because you are living in dormitory settings with, again, students from not only different cultures and perspectives and walks of life, there's also different ages, right? Different experiences. And then you take that boarding community and it's also integrated into the day student community. It's day after day of fabulous opportunities to have those lessons that you already spoke to. And again, that's not just in the classroom, that can play out on the athletic fields and on the theater stage and in really all corners of the school. We also have a lot of opportunities in terms of leadership, which you alluded to earlier is a real passion and purpose of mine, youth leadership. We have a student leadership and diversity council, for example. And again, those are students that have identified that they want to give back to the school and develop their leadership skills over time. And that's literally open to, you can be a middle school student alongside of a senior, a 12th grade student, and be on that council. That's not a popularity vote. That's an application process. And this year, I think we have about 19 or 20 students who serve in that way. So the infinite possibilities around that type of growth for kids.
Well, I went to a small boarding school like that, and then I went to the University of Maryland, which was the 10th largest school in the nation, and it was quite a switch. And I learned one thing is that you learn more, you get to know more people in a smaller school than you do in a big school.
Sure.
And have you had that experience? I mean, you've been in both environments also, obviously.
Yeah, it's not only the experience of it for me, it's it's a commitment and really a devotion to the small school design. I believe in it wholeheartedly. And I live here on campus with my family, knowing the students, knowing the faculty, really important. That there's no question. And I have worked in schools that are larger than 1,000. And in terms of a leadership position, at least for me, that's not my preference. It's really being part of the community and always wanting to be involved and being able to get to games and activities and things like that, and maybe occasionally do a workshop or do some teaching like I do in the summer in the leadership program. So just great opportunities like that.
Well, talk about programs. That's a good segue to some of the signature programs that you offer. If you would like to address that a little.
Sure. So we have some on the partnership end, and then we have some that are homegrown. So I'm happy to start. Which would you like to hear first? Because I want to make sure I cover them all. They're equally as important. Okay, sure. On the partnership end, we have, and you can find this on our website at www.brandhall.org. Under the, actually on the homepage, if you scroll down, you'll see a great visual map of our partner schools or partnership organizations around the United States and the world. A really impressive map there. So two of them that are external that I'll talk about. One is the Skill Factory, and they are a very high level elite basketball program. We have about 6 or 7 Skill Factory students who are in residence here at Brandon Hall, and that program has an affiliation with the junior NBA. So it's just been a great partnership for us on the athletic front. And then we have an organization that has been a mainstay in Atlanta arts and theater and television production, the Atlanta Workshop Players, 38 years strong. They have moved their entire operations to our campus. So year round, we have just amazing theatrical TV film studio, now music engineering studio. So they've added great value to our school, and so many kids come now from the community to participate in those programs. We will be next year possibly the only school that maybe in the whole country that in partnership with Atlanta Workshop Players is offering what's called a TV and Film Pro Track. And that is a terrific program. You can learn about that on our website too, under the Arts tab, if you scroll down. So those are some of kind of those partnerships that I talked about that are external and now internal. The other is our Center for Global Youth Leadership. That is now in cohort 6 and 7 this summer, and that is really an entrepreneurial boot camp for students that has some elements of a Shark Tank experience. But students come here from all over the city, all over the states, all over the world to join these cohorts, and they take on a challenge that's either a community challenge, a nationwide challenge, or a global challenge. And the expectation is they identify that the thing they want to work on, and they really take an idea from seed to flower by the end of that 3 weeks. And Lou, I think you're going to actually be a speaker or a workshop leader in that program. And we're always looking for, hopefully there's some great folks watching now that might want to get involved as speakers or workshop leaders. And when I talk about that, I'm saying 2 or 3 hour talks and seminars on branding and logos and marketing and networking, all the things that our kids can benefit from in fulfilling their project. And we've had amazing projects over the years that kids have done.
Well, leadership has been a hallmark with you, Dean, throughout your life. What does that mean to you? What does leadership mean anyway to you? How's it, in terms of your experience?
Yeah, it's not ever. I think in terms of leadership as kind of this constant growth that one has to do and continue to work on, because there's no kind of final destination for leadership. A title, maybe a title like the one I have, or maybe a CEO or has. That is basically a title. It doesn't necessarily mean that you've achieved a certain level of leadership or that you stop working on your leadership. So for me, I always think of it as a process. I have a great display in my office. I wish I could put it on camera for you, but it's a big whiteboard with a lot of magnetic little cards on it. And each one of those, there's about 30, 35 of them, very colorful. Each one of them has either a leadership tenet or a leadership philosophy or a leadership luminary that's had some kind of impact or influence on me. So it's always just about the learning, putting something in practice, tweaking it, maybe disbanding it for a while and trying something different. It's that kind of dynamic piece that defines at least the way I think about leadership and the way I like to help others become leaders.
Okay, so here's another great one
Yep.
that you talk about a lot on your website and everywhere that we, in our conversations that we've had, and that is service to the community. And how do some of your graduates address that, and how important has that become, and how do you teach that, and talk about how that's some of your students or your alumni have been exemplary in our society and interacting and contributing to the society's well-being.
Whether you visit our website and see this messaging, or you come to the school and see the banners that proclaim it, you'll see 3 tenets of leadership, scholarship, and service. And what we try to do is take those 3 kind of vision values and make them real. So you're asking specifically about the service front. And we have about 20 different community partners where our students and our faculty do service throughout the year. Now, that's been not as active during the COVID era, but hopefully we're going to get back to that in the summer and fall. But it's a requirement at Brandon Hall. You cannot graduate until you have done 5 pretty significant service projects. In addition to that, and we're always looking for partnerships on that as well. But in addition to those 5 big projects, we actually, in any given school year, 2 to 3 times a year, we close down the school, and the entire school does an all school service project. Depending on the needs of the community that we're in, Sandy Springs, Dunwoody area, even larger Atlanta, that could mean that all of our students go to one site, or it could mean that on that day, there are 12 teacher teams that are driving kids to certain areas. So it's just part of the DNA of the school. We live it, and it's extremely important to us. And then your question about alumni, our database probably has around 3,500 alumni since 1959. So, I mean, our alums are all over the world. They're entrepreneurial, they're service industry. I mean, you pick the sector, they're going to be there. And there's nothing better than having our alums come back. Quite a few here in the Atlanta area as well.
I know I asked you earlier if you could identify some of the people, and you said no, they prefer to maintain their anonymity. But needless to say, your alumni are some of the most distinguished people throughout the world in business and education and service to their respective communities. And that's because of the phenomenal education that you provide. And not only that, but the phenomenal teaching that you provide of interacting with other people in all kinds of different countries and experiences, and which is what we need in life, you know. And as the world is getting a lot smaller every day, and every day I meet somebody who speaks at least another language, at least one person, and maybe more.
And Lou, you said it earlier, so you hit me with a statistic that I didn't even know about Gwinnett County. That's a great example of the magnitude and the scope of the diversity in the Atlanta and Atlanta metro area. And I've heard something similar about Buford Highway being one of the most ethnically diverse highways in the entire country. However they measure those things, I don't know. But so the Gwinnett piece was really interesting to me, and I didn't know that before. So you verified that's literally in the whole country?
That is right. In the entire, the most diverse, have more. Actually, they have the other thing is that they have more different languages spoken in Gwinnett County than any other county. The president of the Gwinnett Chamber, Nick Messina, is a friend of mine. He told me the number. I forgot what it is, but you would not even believe there are that many different languages in the world, you know. But
Right.
It is amazing. But if you, Atlanta is one of the fastest growing cities in America.
Right.
People are coming here for a variety of reasons, including our diversification of our citizenry, which has come to be an essential component of our education, to get along well with people from throughout the world who come from different race, creeds, and colors. You have to learn how to get along with people who think differently. You cannot survive in this. And that's one of the things that you do offer, is a phenomenal experience with that aspect of education. And so basically, we want to move to radically different to a topic about one thing that's near and dear to my heart, and that is sports. How do you tell us a little bit about the sports environment there?
So on our campus alone, we have a soccer field, we have tennis courts, a full gymnasium for both basketball and volleyball, and then kind of a weight training, strength training room. We are a official member of GHSA. So for those in the audience who might not know, that's the Georgia High School Association, right? Sports. We are currently in soccer, tennis, and golf season at Brandon Hall. And, we field very competitive teams. And like everything else, our mission and our vision, leadership, scholarship, and service, is going to be imbued in our sports. So we talk a lot about character in our program. But we offer, every semester a full slate of sport offerings. And for students who don't want to participate in the sports life or the sports arena, we have those other programs I spoke about, the arts and what you touched on, the robotics, and some of those as well, Lou. But it's a great place to come and watch an outdoor or an indoor sporting event. And you're always welcome to do that.
Good. One of the things that to me drive families and businesses and academia is traditions, having regular traditions that you look forward to and really enjoy. And you define it as some special occasions. What are some of the traditions or special occasions at Brandon Hall?
So this is a great topic, because I realized a couple years back that was something that our website really didn't showcase enough. So if you were to navigate over to www.brandhall.org and go to the About tab, there's a drop down there that I believe says Our Traditions. And it's a full page that helps parents and families and students see how much we value some of these kind of time-honored events that we do. So just in a kind of nutshell, the ones that stand out for me is there's an annual event early in the year where we have some very big banners that talk about our values and pillars. And every student, every faculty member comes forward and signs those. And then that becomes part of an installation on the campus. That's the signing of the pillars, an annual thing we do. Obviously, there's commencement exercises and everything that goes around the graduation piece. And because of our size, the tradition of honoring every student, so meaning that could be either a video tribute or an in-person kind of event where every student gets some kind of recognition as they graduate or talked about by a faculty or staff member. That's a really, really important one. I touched on the all school service days already. So those are three of the large ones that I think about that just have a lot of meaning for us.
Well, that's very meaningful to me, I know, and when I look back on my days in boarding school. So just off the cuff, just between us girls here, can you tell me, give me a human, I didn't even prep you for this question, so it's coming out of left field, but can you name a human interest story that kind of sticks in your mind in terms of an experience maybe with a student or a group of students that was particularly meaningful to you?
Absolutely. I'm experiencing one as we speak. We started this year, founded something called the Therese A. Fusto Micro Grants, and that's named after my mom. Some of her friends from St. Augustine, after she passed of pancreatic cancer, wanted to memorialize her in perpetuity. And it took a while to figure out, okay, how can I connect this desire they have with honoring my mom's kind of entrepreneurial spirit as a restaurant owner for 50 years with attaching it to kind of student entrepreneurialism. So these microgrants just launched this year. And the first group of 3 students did an application, one 12th grader from Vietnam, 2 11th graders from the Atlanta area. They knew that we had a greenhouse on campus that had kind of fallen by the wayside, hadn't been taken care of in so long. So they proposed, could this be something where the school or the microgrant would help fund? And we want to transform this greenhouse. So literally within 4 months, we have a little mini garden that these students now are actually being able to take what they're cultivating. And I think 2 weeks ago, they sold out of all the produce they were selling. There's talk of having a chicken coop on campus and having eggs and all of that in production. And they've taken a space. These are youth entrepreneurial mindset here. They've taken a space that was kind of barren and had been forgotten about and totally transformed it. In my mind, I can't give enough of those grants. We can't award enough of those. I would love every student here to have some kind of project where they're giving back to the school or the community that we can help fund. And that's, to me, the best example I can give you. Come look at it. Come take a walk through it. It's pretty amazing. Totally student-led. They have faculty advisors. A part of the process is they've got to own it. They've got to believe in it and find a way to make it thrive. How's that? Is that a pretty good example?
Dean Fusto, President and CEO, Brandon Hall School. He exemplifies what he articulated in his bio, his passion for inspiring youth leaders. And I don't want to talk about politics, but youth leadership is very desperately needed in our society now. And teaching leadership skills at an early age couldn't be more important than anything else. It's more important, nothing is more important, let's put it that way, than that. And thank you for your service. And most of all, Dean, we thank you for the role model that you are for students. We need more people like you who represent good role models. Somebody asked me recently, when you were growing up, who really inspired you? Who was your role model growing up? And it's pretty hard to think about it when you're young, and you certainly exemplify that, and the kind of person that your students can look up to in school and have a role model. And again,
I had those people in my life for sure. So I think when you have enough of those folks that are pushing you and encouraging you, right, that it's natural that you'd want to maybe pursue a career that in some way gives that back and pays it forward, So that's a question I could always answer very easily. Maybe next time, if we get a chance to do this again, I can tell you about that impact that my family, my mom in particular, had on me and with her life and the lessons she taught me.
And I think that's what you impart to your students too. That's Malcolm Forbes once said that how the CEO goes, so goes the company. And I can see why the school is so successful with your leadership. So thank you very much, Dean, and thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions or if I can help you anyway, my email is lou@louwieland.com. And we talked again to Dean Fusto, President and CEO of Brandon Hall School, one of the great educational institutions in our great city. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.